Okay.
All right. Hey everybody, this is Glenn out of Mafio with HBCU Thrive. I want to welcome you guys into the first of many interviews with some great people that I meet along the way, and we're going to be talking about some great things that are going on in the world, how they relate to HBCUs, and just different things that we need to know. So, my first guest on play. We had a great discussion about politics, about the state of HBCUs, and I wanted to make sure I was able to get him in to talk to us today and to share some of the conversation that we had. So I want to start off by introducing Clay and just the highlights. Clay is currently Cory Booker's political advisor for his campaign, for presidential campaign. He's also worked with Senator Jim Clyburn of South Carolina. He's been a leader. I mean, just purely a leader, a military service, also in his community. And so we're going to have a great discussion today. So, Clay, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning, Glenn. I'm doing fine. Yourself?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. So I want to start off just asking you a little bit about your background. I mean, I try to give it a little bit of highlights, but I want to ask you about your background and how you ended up where you are today. So you're originally from South Carolina, right?
Yes, born and raised in Charleston, South Carolina.
Okay.
And I got on this journey truly by an issue area
Mm,
when I was in high school, as it dealt with a bond referendum.
mm,
And, can vote for a high school student, but yet the issues that this bond was going to affect certainly affect my generation.
mm,
So that was a bond referendum was passed that did not include a new gym
mm,
for the high school, predominantly African American high school I attended, but
mm.
yet all the other high schools got a new gym and a new school.
Wow.
So we felt that was not right.
Mm,
So we advocated that our family and that adults that cared about the school and alumni,
mm.
they voted against the bond referendum, and it failed. So we were proud because then the new referendum included a new gym and a new school for my high
Wow.
school.
Wow.
So that really got me fully involved into just community led issues,
Mm,
because what me and my classmates and others did then in 1998, we did not see any signs of the benefits of that until years later when the new school and new gym were built. So that's how it started for me, along with some other stuff prior to that. But involvement has always been something I've been a part of.
that's fantastic. You know, it's funny. There's a quote, I think it said that great nations or trees are built, great nations or forests are built when men plant the seeds before they'll ever, like that they know they'll never sit under, something like
Absolutely.
that. Yeah. And that's
Well,
fantastic.
it's truly the sign of leaders, because you have to do things for generations yet born.
Yeah.
If we do things just for us, then we are being very selfish.
Absolutely.
Surely we're born, surely we will die.
Yes.
So what we do in the meantime is really for the next generation. One generation plants trees, so the next will have shade.
Absolutely.
So we have to keep that in mind
That's
as
absolutely.
well.
That's absolutely correct. So I think that really summarizes a lot of what I read about you. Like I said, everything I've read about you so far, and just our conversation has shown that you are definitely a leader. So I want to talk about military service. So you also are in the
Yeah.
military. You were active and still in the military. So what was that experience? What led you into the military, and then what were some of the biggest lessons that you took away, and which
Uh,
affect currently?
well, I'm currently a major in the Army. I've been in the South Carolina Army National Guard for almost 20 years. It'll be 20 years, January 6th, 2020 would mark my 20 years in the service. I've deployed to Iraq, where I earned a Bronze Star, deployed to Europe, to Germany, covering Europe, Israel, Turkey, Poland, other areas there. I've also been deployed to the Arizona-Mexican border for Operation Jumpstart under President Bush.
What was that operation? What did that cover?
It was really a opportunity to augment National Guard soldiers with border security operations, so that we could be the eyes and the ears for them to help border agents go where there was high activity as it relates to those crossing the border. So during that time, really saw, and even everyone on the border that we engaged with will tell you this is an economic issue of people coming over. They're coming over not because the weather is better. They're coming over because of the economic opportunities that exist here compared to their country. But it was very tragic to see how things were operated then. This was in 2007 when we were there. Nevertheless, the work that we did, the mission was accomplished successfully to provide added eyes and ears, added capacity to what the border agents have to endure every single day. But the other part of what I've learned by being in the military is truly leadership with action. The military prides itself off of discipline. It prides itself off of time management, efficiency, etc. And a lot of those attributes people do not use in civilian sectors, or it's not as widely used. So the way I operate truly is from both a practical aspect, but also through a military lens of decision-making process, of having an after-action review, of having action items, of organization, of time management, of all those soft skills that are needed to lead projects, lead teams, but also understand that now where I am as a field grade officer is training soldiers, delegating, and having a more strategic outlook on things. So that is truly parallel with what I do on the civilian side of leading teams, leading projects, but also adding value to an organization.
I think that's amazing. You know, one of the things that I've been doing is going through every HBCU strategic plan that I can get my hands on, right? So I've been reviewing them. And one of the things that I find interesting is I think one of my mentors told me this. He said, a lot of people do things well, but they don't do it strategically. And so you get a lot of very smart people. I mean, I believe that one of the challenges we have with some of our HBCUs is lack of just that kind of thinking that you just said. Although we have brilliant people, I think sometimes our ideas are not implemented as well as they could be, or strategically as they could be. And so sometimes we have some of those challenges. So I think I'm glad I'm speaking to you, because this is something that we as HBCU alumni that want to give back to our community and give back to our schools should definitely understand exactly what you're saying and how that can help us move anything that we're doing forward.
Right. And, you know, I did not attend a HBCU. I went to the Citadel, the military college of South Carolina, that has its own set of historical challenges. Nevertheless, I've had several family members to graduate a HBCU. Aunt went to SC State, another went to Fort Valley State. My work for Congressman Clyburn, my work around minority serving institutions is natural to to me. So it's not foreign at all
Mm-hmm.
Of some of the inherent struggles of HBCUs.
Mm-hmm.
And some of those struggles are not just immune to HBCUs. We
Oh
see
yeah.
those same struggles elsewhere.
Yes,
It's just
absolutely.
that as the saying goes, when America has a cold, black folks have the flu.
Absolutely.
So it's the same thing regarding minority serving institutions compared to white institutions or Ivy League schools, for that matter.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I'm glad you brought up that your work with Senator Clyburn. Actually, I want to get into that very soon. But I want to cover a little bit more about the things that you've done and just, press upon people the great things that you've accomplished. So you ran for the South Carolina House seat, correct?
Correct. I ran
Okay.
for South Carolina State House seat in 2008.
Okay.
Lost by 270 votes in the runoff.
270.
Yes. Yeah.
There was some shaking going on there.
Yeah. A lot.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot. Yeah.
That's crazy. But what were some of the lessons that you learned um, through that process? I know, the political process. We had our conversation, and like I
Yeah.
said, I'm not very political, but I've just gotten a little bit of experience with it, and I see that it's a very interesting process, and you learn a ton of things just by participating in it.
One of the biggest lessons I learned is that you know who your friends are when you need them, and you also know when people are supportive of you, when you're doing good, they are encouraging you. But the minute you put yourself out there and need their support on something, then you really know where they're coming from. And I had a lot of people that liked the fact that I was serving on various boards and commissions that dealt with housing and economic development. They love the fact that you have someone that's homegrown, that did not go off but stayed here to actually do work in the community to make an impact. But the second I said I'm going to run for public office against some people that had higher name ID, that's been doing a lot in the community and a lot of other stuff, I got from some, well, why are you doing this? Why don't you run for city council first or school board first? Wait your turn.
Yeah.
So when I heard "wait your turn," I was like, "Well, my time is now."
My time is now. Absolutely.
And wait is synonymous with never.
Yep.
And I have more to offer than the others in the race. That was one. Secondly, by you telling me to wait my turn because I'm too young, tells me where you were during the civil rights era.
Wow.
You're on the sidelines. And so I learned that, and I'm glad I did. Was not naive at all, but to have people tell you one thing and then show you something else was very revealing. So I'm glad I got that lesson. But by the same token, I had great support. I learned a lot. And one of the most gratifying things is that after the election, several people came up to me and said, made a mistake. Wish I'd voted for you. Years later, I still hear that, but people were very surprised that the day after the election that I was back at work, being seen and doing things. And I reminded them then that I don't need a title of elected office holder to have an impact.
Yes, absolutely.
So it was not for me to win for a variety of reasons that we won't get into today, since this is about HBCU progression. But again, it was a lesson learned. We all did some of our experiences. So running for office, being in the military, working for elected officials like Majority Whip Clyburn, being an Obama appointee, now working for Senator Cory Booker, all have have created the person that's before you now.
Okay. All right. That's excellent. That's excellent. So as you said, today we were talking about HBCU. So I wanted to just ask, with all those experiences, I want you to clarify for people why, although you didn't go to a HBCU, you said you already dealt with many minority institutions. And what of those experiences do you feel makes you uniquely qualified to speak on the state of HBCUs and what they can be doing to potentially to add to what they're doing or better their situation?
So Congressman Clyburn, he and his late wife, Miss Emily, they both graduated from South Carolina State University. They both were activists in the civil rights movement in the state and outside. They love their beloved institution wholeheartedly, to the tune of having an endowed scholarship, having, in fact, Miss Emily, the Honors College is named in her honor. The congressman has, in the era of earmarks, provided a lot of resources to not only SC State, but the city and county of Orangeburg to help with infrastructure development. Wow. To improve the school. So I think anytime you are an alumni or you belong to an institution or have connection with one, when you are in position of power, authority, or influence, you leverage that to help the institutions that really created you.
Absolutely.
So just to see how he and Miss Emily put their own dollars into scholarships, into the infrastructure, into programmatic aspects of the school, I saw that up close and personal. So again, I did not go to one, but it was important enough for him, important enough for my family members that attended an HBCU and friends that did as well, of saying, look, when you become an alumni of that institution, you should do several things. One is contribute financially, whether it's a class scholarship, whether it's your own scholarship, serve as a mentor to those that are going through that institution. But the bottom line is, whether you do one or two, you got to give back.
Absolutely.
And that is something that should be intentional. It should not be done in a passive manner. And giving back means more than attending a collegiate game.
Yeah.
Coming back for homecoming.
So that point is so interesting. The other week, about 2 weeks ago, I went to one of the football games. Actually, I didn't go to the football game. The football game was that day. I went to this strategic planning meeting. And what was so interesting to me is that the strategic planning meeting was almost empty, but the game was full, and so just like you said, we have to be intentional about the things that we prioritize. The game is great, but coming in and understanding how are we going to better our institutions, like you said, that help build us, is as important as going to the game. And I wanted to highlight, so just like you said, I believe that you are uniquely qualified to speak on the subject because of your work with Congressman Clyburn and his work with South Carolina State. With I saw he actually spearheaded the national move to fund, like you said, infrastructure on these campuses to preserve some of these legacy buildings. And
through USDA.
Yes, it's that program. I as I said, I'm not really a political person. If I had not met you, I wouldn't have known about that program and the amazing work that he's done. And
so HBCUs are historic. So not only in name, but in buildings. So in order to fund restoration of these buildings, just like we do elsewhere, you do that through USDA. You can do that through other parts of the federal budget.
Wow.
these are things that bring, again, having HBCU alumni in the Congress is very impactful.
Mm.
Also, having Cory Booker did not attend a HBCU, but his parents did.
Yeah, I heard him say
So
that. Yeah.
so he understands the value of HBCU, just that perspective.
Yeah.
So what could I do to help HBCU? Again, I went to the Citadel.
Mm-hmm.
I, the class of 2003, contributed to an endowed scholarship in my class. I participate in the fundraising activities of the African American Alumni Association of the Citadel because it is important to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I had a friend tell me this years ago. The only time in your life you would get a low interest loan would be your student loans.
Mm.
He said, think about it.
Yeah.
You're not going to get, perhaps when you buy a house, yes,
Yeah.
or a car, but
Yeah.
that is for the amount.
Mm-hmm.
If you are in college and you could max out your student loans, I know we cannot refinance our student loans now. I know there's student loan debts, et cetera, et cetera. But what if you take the money that you're not going to use, but that you take for your refund to do something else with? What if you were to use that money and just simply invest into a mutual fund or stocks for yourself? Yeah. That's the only time you're going to get an interest rate that low.
Absolutely.
So what if you could recycle the dollar of HBCU students, alumni, faculty, and staff into the communities in which they are in?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Imagine what would happen if you were to do that. Imagine if we talk about entrepreneurs, and there's a bill going on through the House of Representatives, more likely it'll be held up in the Senate, that deals with HBCU capital financing, and also having more SBDC, Small Business Administration Development Centers, on HBCU campuses. That is a direct way to have more federal dollars directed to HBCU, not only those that attend the school and that teach and work at the school, but the neighborhoods that they are in, because last I checked, most HBCUs, if not all, are in a inner city or predominantly low income poverty community.
Absolutely. And so just for everybody that's listening in, this is the conversation that we had when we met in the car about a week or so ago. And this is the thing that we were talking about, the economic development, which Clay was actually part of. He worked for, I believe you said, the Department of Energy, doing economic development. But just these kind of things and these kind of, I guess, not common ideas, recycling the dollar, the HBCU having the ability to invest in the community, and not waiting so late. So looking at schools like Howard or Texas Southern, whose neighborhoods have become, as they call it, gentrified, but because they waited so long, you have these opportunities, invest in your community, and change it up. So Clay, I love that you're explaining that there's already a bill in the House that they're trying to pass. But we wanted to get more of your ideas. So we said, when we were talking, we said one of the things that they should be doing is looking at, like you said, opportunity zones, credits right now. Can you explain a little bit more about that? Because actually, you actually informed me a lot about that, and I did research. I saw that about 50 of the HBCUs or so are in designated opportunity zones tracks right now.
Right. So with that, the opportunity zone tracks are identified by the state, not Congress. So if you are in an opportunity zone and you are a HBCU, this is a great opportunity for you as an HBCU to provide economic development and even get a group of investors, whether they be alumni, whether they be even students, to invest into whatever track that may be. Maybe it's for a laundromat, maybe it's for a grocery store. Maybe it's for public housing
Mm-hmm.
or affordable housing,
Yep.
or student apartments, with a car wash, whatever it is, just so you can have relief from your capital gains tax.
Mm.
So this is an opportunity to do that in a unique manner.
Mm.
If I were working at an HBCU, just like research institutions do in every single state, that flagship research institution in any state
Mm-hmm.
buys up everything around it
Yep.
and everything within the state.
Mm-hmm.
Here in South Carolina, it is the University of South Carolina and Clemson. They are all over the state.
Yes.
So there are opportunities that HBCUs, I think, could really expand their footprint beyond their headquarters,
Yes.
so to speak. Because then you also have an opportunity to brand yourself as an academic institution where you can have professional studies classes, where you can expand your graduate program, your online program, and your partnership with majority serving institutions. But it's an opportunity. If I work for an HBCU, so I would buy everything that has dirt to do with it.
Yep.
God ain't putting no more land on this earth.
No, he's not.
And I think if HBCUs want to truly look at a way to provide economic development and recycle that dollar for alumni to invest in, and for current students to invest in, why not do it in the manner of economic development? Because the resources are there to do such, and it also allows that school to leverage its name with investors or with the private sector to have these public-private partnerships.
Absolutely.
And you can do, especially if you, one of the things that Congressman Clyburn has been a leader on is in environmental justice, which again is a linkage towards HBCUs. So now you could actually participate in the cleanup of these environmental injustices that have occurred, whether it's a brownfield in a particular community, in your state, or in another state. It's just a way for you to capitalize in a positive manner on all the bad stuff that has happened. I think that should be the direction that all HBCUs go into, instead of a select few.
You know, we are completely on the same page there, and I totally agree with what you're saying. That's one of the reasons I started this company, HBC Thrive, to move into that direction. Because from what I see from attending different meetings and reading the strategic plans, I come to understand how these things are financed. And I think a lot of people, even though you graduate from the school, you really don't understand the financial situation of these schools and why they're going to meet with the president or petitioning for funds. But when you come to understand how the money is worked and where the dollars are coming from, you understand that these institutions, if you understand the story of Morris Brown and where they ended up, how close they can actually be to that, because they're completely reliant on federal aid. So if the students can't get loans, the tuition dollars are not there. Most of these schools are bringing in students who are coming from lower to middle class incomes, and they don't have money to completely pay tuition. So if that money dries up, there's nothing else there. But if you employ a strategy like you're talking about, not saying you're going to overnight replace the millions of dollars that come in federal student aid, but you can start to diversify your revenue. You can start to do economic development. And like you said, it starts right in your own neighborhood. One of the things that we're doing here in New Jersey is we're looking at the 203K loan. And we're encouraging people in our neighborhoods and North New Jersey that you're familiar with. That's where we met. to bring people in to purchase these homes, get the money from the government to fix it up, and encouraging our own little communities. Let's fix up our own neighborhood. Can be taken to another level with the school backing you, our alumni base. And one of the things I found out was that when you look at a school, I did my small research on LinkedIn and different places, but actually it was verified when I went to the schools and asked them. Most of their alumni stay right in the area. Like, you graduate from Virginia State, you live in Richmond for the most part.
Right. So just being able to diversify and leverage what you already have, because
Absolutely.
now that leads into your study abroad programs.
Yes.
That could be developed with the diaspora.
Absolutely.
It also deals with, because now you're talking about tourism and hospitality and cultural experiences. So there's just so many opportunities that could be leveraged, but you got to start.
You got to start.
And it's also how you engage your alumni, and really how you treat your students when they are students, right?
Yeah.
So some people just like any household, you're 18, you're ready to get the hell out.
Yeah.
When you graduate, you're ready to get the hell out, and you're not coming back. So I think you just got to look at it from that aspect.
Yeah.
Because you have people, really, some of these schools, some of these endowments really become wealthy because they even look at, when I die, I want X amount of my life insurance to go to my institution.
Absolutely.
For scholarships.
Yep.
For a building, for whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
How are we utilizing the sponsorships from our athletic programs or our academic programs or those companies that recruit our students?
Yep.
How are we leveraging SC State graduates their ROTC department, more African American general officers graduate from South Carolina State University than any of the military academies combined.
Wow.
So again, how are we leveraging all of these things to do one thing, and that is not to have HBCUs be extinct.
Yes, exactly.
That is a thing. We do not want these schools to no longer exist and to remain or be in the history books because they no longer exist. And that's vital for a lot of reasons, because in the African American community, sometimes that HBCU is the only way for that individual to get a college degree.
That's absolutely true. That is absolutely true. That's one of the things that I said with the meeting, and that's what President Abdullah was saying at Virginia State. Like, a lot of the students, they couldn't get in somewhere else, and what they provide is a mobility asset from somebody who comes potentially from a lower income level, and provide them with education that helps them move potentially to a engineer or just some sort of profession that moves their family. That's a generational impact.
Right.
These HBCUs are providing. Yeah, definitely. Well, this has been a great conversation, man. I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with me today. And hopefully we can have another conversation at another time. I definitely.
I would appreciate.
I'm sorry. Before we go,
I
wanted to follow up. Can you tell people what is your next steps? Before we go, what are you looking at as far as your career moving forward? I know I saw one of your old videos, and you said you may be looking at becoming the mayor. So
the mayor of Charleston.
I think you definitely have what it takes. So.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that from your lips to God's ears. Right now, my focus is doing well where I am now as relates to Cory Booker's presidential campaign, and also what I'm doing on the military side.
Okay.
And what's next, we'll find out after this campaign season.
Okay.
But whatever I do, it would be serving in some capacity to move an agenda forward, some form of progress. Really, public service, being a vessel, is in me. I can't shake it, no matter how hard I try. So I've succumbed to that.
Okay.
But I thank you, and also just so people understand, We met. Things will happen by accident. So for us to meet when I was in Newark, and you happened to pick me up as the Uber driver, and
Yeah.
just engaging in the conversation,
Yep.
got us to this point, and who knows where it would lead. But must say thank you for what you're doing.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Is very much needed, and I look forward to seeing how HBCU thrives based on the work that you're doing.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate it, Clay. So we'll be in contact. We'll be in contact, and then I'll share this with everybody, and hopefully again we'll have Clay on again.
Well, thank you, Glenn.
All right. Thank you very much, Clay.
All right, out here.
All right. Bye.